Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the Immortal Thor Issue 3 2023. Yeah, that's an awesome cover there, and fits with what's going on with Thor in the story. Because he is in a kind of nutty place that he's got to kind of get himself out of. And I really enjoyed this one. Now, this is $4.99. That seems to be what we're getting up to with certain ones, though it's kind of varying, which is kind of annoying, so just watch out for that. But I really like this and how this whole kind of thing was kind of set up by Loki. So, we start off, a foolish man thinks he knows everything if placed in unexpected difficulty, but he knows not what to answer if to the test he is put. The Elder Edis of Saemund Sigvason. Which helps to kind of explain what we have to go through in this kind of crucible. So we see Thor pretty much asleep by the dead, kind of the all sleep going on. And he dreamed of falling an endless fall through endless darkness until the exhaustion he had fought so long overtook him, and he was taken by a deeper darkness yet. And all the way down he heard the mocking laugh of the trickster, the talesmith. Foe once and foe again. Loki, Thor woke. It's like, oh god, bearded and everything, in the wilderness. Odin's beard. He's like, ah shit, I do have my beard. I do have Odin's beard on my face. How long did I sleep? And I love the art showing the kind of crazy colors and shapes and everything of where Thor's at. So he's like, how long did I sleep? Where did Loki's magic take me? A garden of exquisite beauty neath a sky of velvet and rubies. A shame I cannot stay to rest longer in such paradise, but I feel my full strength return, and I have tarried too long already. If Tyrannus did not find and kill me in my slumber, what evil hath he wrought elsewhere? Come, Mjolnir, spin me a doorway to far Asgard that I might... And where do you think you're going? And this is kind of important because I like what kind of Loki puts into him here for this kind of test and everything, because in the past one, with Thor trying to fight Tyrannus, he utilized all of his abilities without truly thinking. He was put up back against the wall, and he pretty much put himself in a compromised position. So we see that throughout this, Loki's kind of testing his ability to think and put all the battle wisdom that he's had to the test, which is pretty kind of cool. And of course, he is trying to warn Loki. He's like, I don't have time or patience for this. And Loki's like, this is no game, Thor, but it does have rules, and even Mjolnir cannot break them. My magic has bound you to this place, to the rune Radho. Rune of journeys, but the rune is reversed, its meaning changed. An unwanted journey, plans disrupted, the rune of crisis. Which is interesting. This might seem like foe kind of Loki, but it's an important kind of test. And of course he's spinning the hammer, but the dimensional winds don't form. The rune magic blocks all others, even the all power I suspect. And to make that attempt would make me vulnerable again. Good thinking, understanding that he would be vulnerable doing that. An excellent riddle, Skald of Realms, but you have chosen an ill hour to play the trickster's role. So rather than play along, I shall take my leave. Ha! As you wish, brother. But if you're trying that route, I'd pack a lunch. And he is evidently far out of the realm of Midgard and Asgard. And he's like, Loki again speaks true. Muspelheim, take him. I have no goats, no chariot. Even at full speed, it would take millennia to reach Earth or Asgard from wherever I am. And these are stars I had never behold in my long life. Am I in my own reality? Perhaps Tyrannus cannot find me here. Where is he now? With no thunder god to battle. What is he doing to my allies while I dawdle here? And that's important because he's afraid for his friends. Loki, as your king, I demand, and as your fool, I deny. Solve the riddle, Thor, or you'll die here. Still, if it'll help you, use what you keep in that helmet of yours. I'll turn a few stones into that lunch I mentioned. After all, a good jailer should keep their prisoner fed, Loki. And then we see an important kind of bit where Thor is getting angry, and that kind of takes him. I am no one's prisoner, as he starts blasting the food. It's like, watch out, Thor. That's kind of what Odin would kind of do. And the thing is, we see him kind of go through that kind of anger, but then learn from it. Have it your way, Thor. You won't break bread? Then you can stew. I furnished you with every clue. So now I take my leave of you with a flip of a rune and a Tulu. And Loki smashes the staff on the ground and disappears. And then, of course, he lets his rage go and destroy pretty much the area. Let's see. Alone with his rage. Loki, get back here! Loki! For in the eye of his mind, Thor saw only the havoc Tyrannus was causing in fruitless search of him, which is understandable. He needs to deal with that problem. Who is being swept away by the storms of Tyrannus now? Midgard's mortals, Thor's own people, some innocent alien world? There was no knowing. Thus, each new possibility was more brutal than the last, and Thor could do nothing save vent his fury. For an unknown time, the force of Thor's wrath buffeted against the land. And that's important. It gives a good explanation of why Thor is so angry. Though granted, it's not okay to kind of just thunder blast everything like that, and he knows it. Until there is no more left in him. Well done, Thor, well done. Thou hero of gods and mortals, thou hast fought a most courageous battle indeed against a garden of flowers. Indeed, thy rage has scored it down to bedrock or bed crystal as it may be. Tell me, has it brought you closer to escape? No, Thor, it has not. And that's important. Like, a lot of people will get frustrated or angry at certain kind of things and, like, break things or hit things or create untold destruction. But you need to learn from it. If you don't learn from it and just create those habits and just do that kind of thing over and over, it doesn't help. And now he's got to get through this problem. In times past, this is when Mjolnir would grow heavy in my grip, or Father Odin's voice would scold me from the Uru. Now I am left to scold myself, to weigh myself on the scales of All-Father's justice and decide my punishment. And that's important, because normally it has been those kind of things. Mjolnir or Odin would take him to task, but now he must take himself to task. That is an important... I actually really kind of like that. It shows him doing something wrong and then having to understand and learn from it and then hold himself accountable for it. You don't really see that much in stories, and it's really cool to see here. A little hard labor will be good for the soul, I think. To work then, God of the Hammer, and that's important because we then see him go and do an interesting kind of thing. To work the Thunder God went. Use what you keep in that helmet, Loki said. What do I keep in this? Good Asgardian steel that may be shaped. First came the lightning to heat the metal, then the mighty hammer, the crusher of legend that Thor would wield more expertly than any smith who lived. So it went over and again, until the time came for quenching rain to cool the metal, and for Mjolnir to become a whetstone, to hone what he had forged until 'twas sharp as thought and sharper. And when the great axe head was done, Thor gave it a name. Tormod shall I call thee, for to solve Loki's riddle, my mind must be as keen as thou art. And I love seeing him work through and create this axe head. And it's I could understand how people are like, oh, he just made this and it's like an yarn board. And it's like, yeah, but Thor made this himself and used his helmet to do it, making it kind of more a part of him. And we shall both test the edge of both. And then we see that he uses it to shave his beard, sharp enough to shave a god's bristles, a good test of any blade. And if worst comes to worst, I shall know how long I have been here by how long it takes to grow back, which is actually pretty fucking smart. And then Loki's like, no, don't kill yourself. Oh, I beg forgiveness, brother. Finding you with a blade at your own throat, I feared the worst. Although maybe not the worst compared to the fate that awaits you if you fail to, Loki. Stand there a moment as he then calls Mjolnir, and I love how Thor's rendered there. And then he just tosses the hammer like this, and then Butterfly escapes. It's like, taking my head off would be too easy, Thor. You can't just hack your way through this Gordian knot, and that's important. It's like, how do you deal with this? Because you can't just brute force strength Tyrannus. And then he's like, but if you want some lateral thinking, you have a get out of jail free card in your own hand. Are you not King of Asgard, hero of 1,000 battles? Who deserves Valhalla if not you? And once there, who could stop you walking out again? Do it, Thor. Cut the thread of fate and fall. The Valkyries will most surely catch you. And that's an important kind of temptation. That's like, granted, death in the Marvel Universe is a very different and kind of crazy kind of thing. But that's not, like, that, again, is another kind of trap. The ways of death cannot be gained, Loki, as you well know. There are forces to which even a god must bow. You are correct, however. I do have the solution right here. And I love Thor laying on that wisdom. Even Odin needed to kind of learn that stuff. And he uses Mjolnir to break Loki's staff. In mine own hand, the rune Radho is broken. Now we are both prisoners, Riddle Smith. Mutually assured destruction? Very lateral thinking. A well-deserved, well-severed knot indeed, and a fine trick. But destruction is only one side of this coin, and no trick of yours will save you. As he then brings it back, it's like, I like that kind of thinking. It's like, destruction won't work here. The tools are in thine hands, brother. And with that, Loki spun the rune staff again, struck the ground, and was gone, leaving the thunder god alone with the riddle. Before this began, I swore to trust Loki even as my enemy, and though the trickster shows in manner all the malevolence of old, each taunt is a clue. The game is fair, and Raid-Ho is the key to it. A rune of my own name. Little wonder it has the power to cage me thus. And a rune of the tales, not the story told, but the journey lived, the journey through the wilderness, the work of day to day. I suspected the answer to this conundrum when my rage cooled. 'Tis time to see if I am right. The tools are in my hands, as he does the rune and tries to see what kind of goes on. I must only put them together. Beyond the reach of Thor's wrath, the wilderness still bloomed. A branch made a stout handle, river reeds made a strong binding, as he makes his haft for Tormod. And Tormod was fully born in mighty Thor's hand. Tormod the Keen Edge, Tormod Riddle Solver, Tormod the first of three. Ooh, so this is another... I love when you get kind of old school story craft like that, where it's like, okay, what else will Thor have to make? Would you know more? More will be told. So it's like, we'll learn as we see that panel really showing off that axe. It's great. When then Thor selected a tree, a young oak out of place in such a strange forest, and after felling it with a single blow, upon which Tormod returned to, as Mjolnir would have, for 'twas the all-king's creation bore his magic, Thor settled down to the true task. A Gordian knot, a seemingly complex problem with a simple answer. Loki arrives behind my back, but makes a point of leaving in front of my face, always showing me their staff, the means of travel, and of course, Odin traveled with staff and everything like that. So it's like, Thor needs his own kind of staff. No trick of mine will save me, I am told, which leaves a trick of the trickster's own, a rune staff to match theirs. A simple answer, and yet, is it that simple? I simply bang my cane on the ground like Donald Blake and the game is over? Or am I simply playing a fool of putting my trust in Thor? And I hope we get Donald Blake kind of back. It'll be interesting to see what his kind of purpose will be in this story. And then, of course, we see this great rendition of Loki here being like, screw you! Oh, you thought willing to stickle do this? Fool that you are, you have failed, Thunder, and now you must die. And yet, magnanimous as I am, I offer you one last chance to survive my wrath. Bestow upon me the throne of Asgard. Give to me the role of Allfather. Swear to serve me all the days of thine immortal life, and Loki, the fiendish god of evil, will let you live. And you have to see, he is tempting Thor to get out of these things by giving up his life and his throne. Any worthy king that takes their subjects seriously would not give up the throne to one such as Loki doing these kind of things, even though we know that Loki is playing this part. And Thor's like, really? I was questioning myself, Loki, but even as my enemy, you clearly want me to succeed. For, though I know not the why of this role you play, nor what ill wind has brought thee to assume it, after all the road you and I have walked together, there's one thing I know in my marrow. Any Loki who says they want a throne is a liar. It's like, yeah, because Loki's better off doing this stuff outside. Thy riddle is solved, Skald. Thy tale is over. Raid-Ho, rune of journeys, take me home, as he slams it into the ground. And they are back on the moon. And then Loki's like, okay. The stars are in the same places I left them. For all the time spent in your wilderness, no time here has passed. Yet all the same, I have slept the all-sleep. I have renewed. And that is all that is keeping thine head upon thine shoulders. What meant you by this game, Loki? No game. You had a lesson to learn. You learned it. You wielded a weapon for. You needed a weapon for what's coming. You have it. You were tested. You passed. And I love how Loki is able to lay it out as succinctly as possible. Now that I failed the test, you'd be dead. Starred bones on an alien world in a forgotten time. And Tyrannus would wreak his havoc over all. Understand this, Thor. If I come to you as your enemy, it is as the enemy you need, and I will not coddle you. Important. A game with stakes is still a game, Loki, but a lesson has been learned. That the All-Father's power cannot guarantee me victory, but my own might if I have the quick mind to apply it. And that's important. Thor got that lesson. I mean, I know he's iterating it so that way we understand it, but we need to know that he's learned this. Indeed, the solution to the riddle of Tyrannos is now within reach. We will need allies for what comes next, allies who share the necessary experience, though I fear at least one will not enjoy seeing Loki at her door. If she is to join us in battle, I must speak to the goddess of thunder alone, as he goes to recruit Storm. And yeah, she's pretty much a goddess with everything. And I love seeing the story bit at the end. And then I love that we have letter pages now, and it's called If They Be Wordy. And I love how they talk, how they had to like go back and forth between various different kind of ones, and that one really works. And then a little thing for the next one. So I really enjoyed this because it really delved into the dynamic of Thor and Loki, and how even though Loki put Thor in a hard situation for him to deal with, Thor got through on his own mind, and that he now understands that the all-power is a tool, but a tool that needs to be utilized sparingly and in the most dire circumstances where he is able to pull the win out with it. Otherwise, he will compromise himself and those that he is needed to protect by utilizing it unwisely. And I love that he goes through, he creates his own things. He created Tormod, and I can't wait to see what is utilized there and how it kind of works and what other allies he's going to gather, because Tyrannos is on a level that is hard for Thor to kind of reach on his own, and it's not wrong to ask for help, and Loki helped him. So, granted, in typical kind of Loki fashion, and I loved how this was old school kind of storytelling here, but yet it is executed so well, and I just really loved it and loved seeing the character work of Thor and Loki and how they got through this, and how Thor's like, I'm annoyed at you, but I understand why you did this. So I can't wait to see the next kind of level and what other objects Thor will create for himself as All-Father that will help him in his questing, and how his allies will react to having to deal with Tyrannos and what's going to be going on. So, those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.